Hi everybody, and welcome to Safari TV, and welcome to Djuma Game Reserve. It's a slightly windy afternoon today. Little patches of cloud in the sky, but otherwise really lovely blue sky out there. And we're heading out for the next 3 hours. You're going to join us live on the safari. My name is Mark, Herman is with me on camera, and Kaz is back in final control. Join us, and while we're on the drive this afternoon, please feel free to send in questions and comments and topics and anything you want. Let us know where you're from, let us know if you're a new viewer, let me know if there's anybody that's having a special day, and that can be sent to finalcontrol@safari.tv. And with no much further ado, this red-billed hornbill we were watching has now landed in a tree next to me. Very interesting birds, the hornbills. Kind of our African equivalent of a toucan. Although there's no relation between the two, not to my knowledge. Just a similar evolutionary path as far as beak development is concerned. Of course, nothing as big as a toucan's. Let's go and find some animals for you this afternoon. It's a little bit windy. Right, let me figure this out now. That one there. Oops. And that one there. I was thinking just before we opened up, I was sort of thinking about the wind and thinking about how to describe it. It's not quite blustery. It's a little bit more than breezy, but it's not really windy. And I remember way back reading different classifications of wind. I wonder if somebody could maybe find that for me on Google or something. You get, I think, 6 or 7 or 8 different classifications of wind, starting from still to a very light breeze, and then a breeze, and then I forget how it goes. Maybe it can come back to me somehow. Not very much on the open area at the moment. There were 1 or 2 impala rams around, but they've moved on. Maybe just over the ridge. See, we saw some rhino this morning finally. We haven't seen rhino for a few days. Maybe we'll try and follow up on the rhino. Of course, the other thing we need to follow up on are our favourite cats. Now, I don't know if any of them were found this morning. No cats this morning? No cats from this morning. Ideally, it'd be nice to find an elephant or 2 or 20. And in front of us we have a very rare sighting. It's the albino Isuzu. Sorry, that might not be politically correct. Oh, that's why. There's some buffalo lying up here in the shade. $1 million. Audio. These balls not lying in the water today. Could be that the temperature isn't that hot that they need to cool down. The water is back to the back there. It looks like one of those balls that used to hang around the church, very narrow, very narrow curve. Okay. I'm not dropping it all. Can you not go before? Guys, just very fast to you. Excuse me for the picture of the radio. Herman can't get you on channel 1. And channel 4 is distorted. Getting a bit scratch behind his horns, between his horns and his ear. Okay, well, we seem to be having a fast sound problem, everyone, so we're going to just go back to Gary. I'm going to go back up to quarantine, and we'll translate our sound problems. We'll be back with you shortly.
Hi everyone, this is Kaz in Final Control. I've just cut over to Gowrie property while we try to resolve those audio issues. I'm not quite sure what's causing them, but I'll get the guys to have a look at it and we'll be back with them as soon as possible. Hi everyone, this is Kaz in Final Control. Just to let you know that we are working on our technical problem on the vehicle. As soon as we have it resolved, we will cut back to the vehicle and continue with our game drive. In the meantime, we're having a look at the waterbuck, who are just here on the side of Gowrie Dam, enjoying chewing the cud here. It's great to see these waterbuck looking so relaxed and just enjoying some of the warmth they can pick up during the day.
And we're back again, and we're also back with these buffalo. So most of them, the other three of them have moved down a little bit. They're grazing again. This big old boy is sitting here lying in the shade. I did notice they still got a little bit of a fly problem, a few flies bothering them. Something about these four that seems somewhat familiar. There was one with a very narrow curve to his horns. There's one that's got a scar on his shoulder. That could be a TV scar. Gosh, he's got an oxpecker right at his eye. Patiently letting this oxpecker do its thing. Sometimes the oxpeckers irritate them to no end, and sometimes they allow the oxpeckers to just do their business. There, back at the other eye now, the left eye. One of the points where ticks do congregate or do collect is in the folds of skin around the eyelids, and that seems to be where this oxpecker is busy preening at the moment. cleaning, concentrating. And back to the back to the nuchal muscle. Oxpeckers here in the bush performing the same function as cleaner wrasse or remoras, mostly cleaner wrasse, cleaner fish. Out on a reef. It's actually quite an amazing thing to see when you're diving. To see a cleaning station. It's almost like a car wash at your local gas station or petrol station. Everybody pulls in and gets their car washed out on a reef. These fish have this lineup where they all come in to have themselves cleaned by the cleaner wrasse. And cleaner shrimp, funnily enough. It's quite amazing. I remember a lot of my dives being out on a reef, especially at night on a night dive, and letting one of the cleaner shrimp onto your hand, and how deftly they get underneath your fingernails and into the folds and creases between your joints of your fingers. It's a bit lazy in this late afternoon sun. Quite warm. We're probably around 22 degrees Celsius at the moment. I'm dressed for the cold, so I'm quite warm. In fact, I'm very hot because I'm anticipating the temperature dropping quite sharply this evening. It was very, very cold last night. I believe it was down to 9 degrees Celsius, which is just below 50. It's sort of late 40s, 48 or so. And that's kind of the coldest I can tolerate. No, I can't even tolerate that. It's not that I can tolerate it. I battled last night. I had blankets on me and I still froze. Can't imagine what it must have been like on drive this morning.
Very beautiful sunrise this morning.
What?
Very beautiful sunrise.
Yeah. Herman saying it was a beautiful sunrise this morning. My alarm went off as usual at 5 o'clock. But I guess I was in that lucky, fortunate position to be able to turn over and go back to sleep. Now these other 3 bulls that were here have moved on a little bit. They've headed off down towards Philemon's Dip. And we're going to move on too. I can't see them anymore. Ed, hi there Ed, wanting to know if it can carry 3 people. I can. Look, there's a seat here next to, in fact, I've got 2 people next to me now. The advances in technologies since the jigger was set up have meant that all that equipment that fills up the front of the old jigger's seat is now condensed, and we now have it in a couple of boxes at the back, because this is a long wheelbase Land Rover, so We get a lot more room at the back. We also have less batteries, or rather fewer batteries, which makes a lot more space for the equipment and allows us an open seat here in front, so we can have maybe a guest along for a ride one day. Somebody who's, imagine if we could get Rex to come along for a drive, and we do a drive, we'd have to figure out what to do with a microphone. But yeah, I think somewhere along the line we have a plan for that. Get somebody to join us for the a guest presenter, for example, would be good. Let's do filament cut line. And bum road maybe. Looking at lizard tail tracks. Can't really see much of the lizard's feet, but there's certainly a little stripe across the road from a lizard running across the road. I think we'll do a big loop first. We'll go Zoe's road and come around Rebecca's. Or maybe we'll do that later. Haven't decided yet. Big bachelor herd of impala up ahead. Now this could be the group from the open area, from quarantine. Yep, I think it is. Okay boys, relax, relax, relax. There's my friend with the touching horns. I recognize some of these boys. There's the little boy with his two skew horns. He was standing out on his own the other day. He was far away from the bachelor herd. Now there's with two of the boys that I know. One with the touching horns walking by. Oh, there are two of them with touching horns now. The younger one and the one we've always been watching. Starting to get a bit of a curve to his horns. But strangely, there's that little, almost sparring, not quite. That little boy with a little bit of a problem. One forward and one back. Possibly a break as a youngster, possibly genetic. Seems to be sort of the end of the rutting season, so the space that they gave each other over the last couple of months has become less. There's not that much of an avoidance going on. They're allowing each other into each other's space now. I've noticed two of them were grooming each other even. We wouldn't have seen that very much in the last couple of weeks. I can see a dominant ram sizing, well not anymore, but he was sizing up to a younger ram, and nothing came of it. Just a little bit of power play though, just like watching some of the older rams moving around and these yearlings making way for them. Yearlings that are now about 18 months old. Same age as Mission in Duna, funnily. Much like this youngster with the very skew horns. He's one of them. Let me move forward a little bit. want to sit in the shade, boys, so I can talk to you. Let's have a look if there's any particular behavior that's noticeable. So far they seem to be all getting on quite fine. There are a few postures, or are there a few rams posturing? Posturing is when they hold their head up high, the back of their head up high, point their chin down, display their horns. Nothing really happening. They're just all grazing. Lovely short grasses. There are a few green shoots coming through. Still, a sign of still moisture in the ground, and also a sign that the cold temperatures haven't really affected everything yet. Kaz earlier was saying there was an answer to my request regarding the different stages of wind. What's the scale? The Beaufort scale. That rings a bell. By Amanda. Thanks, Amanda. Maybe if you could just read it to me quickly, just to refresh my memory. I won't be able to remember it all. Oh yeah, there's wind speeds involved. Wind speed, lick the finger and hold the finger up. No, it doesn't really work that way. No, just the names. Calm air, light breeze, moderate gale. Yeah, that's what I wanted. That is what I wanted. I need to look at that when I get back. Thanks, Amanda, that's great. So we could call it a moderate. Well, now it's calmed down to a moderate breeze then. I don't have a wind meter to tell how fast it's blowing at the moment, but it's less windy than it was when we started the drive earlier. Going to head up to Zoe's Road. I think we'll come back this way. I keep changing my mind, but that's what it's all about. Sometimes I should always go with my first instincts, and sometimes I just get this inkling to do something different. So let's see what we can find down this end of the world. Filament's cut line, we're heading south, southwest. not south, southwest. Oh my little steenbok, I didn't see him. Now we saw a little while ago, I think it was on my Rangers race, we saw that female almost here and she was lactating, and this could be her mate. It would be great to see a baby steenbok.
She was actually standing up, and as she saw us coming, she laid down.
Him? He lay down?
Yeah, he was standing up, and when he saw us, he laid down.
Oh, or maybe that's just his defense mechanism.
I definitely know he's seen it.
Yeah. That's a pretty little antelope. One of the smallest antelope we have here, called a steenbok. Directly translated, called a stonebuck. On account of it looking like a stone if it was to hold its ears back and put its head down. Seems to be maybe a few flies bothering its ears. This will be lying out here getting a bit of warmth before the sun goes down. Bit of a stretch. Marking his territory. He's got a gland just below the eye. If we can get close up on his eye, you can see what looks like a tear duct. Yeah, very nice shot there in this, with the sun when he looks this way. Excuse me, young man, can you look this way again, please? What we call a pre-orbital gland that he uses to mark his territory, and he produces a tar-like substance, dabs it on a blade of grass. He's doing it again with his left eye. Now if he was to run away, we'd be able to go up to that piece of grass. In fact, we can do that. And doing it again, pasting, putting a little bit of this paste on the tip of the grass. And that's how subtle their marking is, how subtle their senses are. It is quite a strong smelling little tar, and it's enough to not necessarily ward off other male steenbok, but certainly for other male steenbok to be aware that this is a guarded and established territory. Not very large territories, only a few acres, and yeah, it looks like, yeah, once again, no, more chin gland there rubbing on it. Classic steenbok stance. Quite different to the duiker, the common duiker, in that it's of course the colour for one. That very, very white belly and the lovely russet tan colour of the back. The horns are a lot further apart than the duikers, and the body shape. This little one is more barrel shaped, almost like a, what reminds me of a Doberman Pinscher, a miniature Doberman Pinscher. as opposed to Dacre, which has got a sort of a much more rounded back, and doesn't have the very white underbelly. Something startled him there, but he was quick to recover, realizing whatever it was wasn't a danger. Hello, Alan. Alan's asking about the dik-dik, the Damara dik-dik. That's up in Damaraland, Damaraland in Namibia. The dik-dik only occurs in that very small part of Namibia, and then again up in East Africa. So certainly not here. There's no chance of us finding dik-dik here. I had wonderful moments with dik-dik up in East Africa when I was living in East Africa. And yes, very much smaller than the steenbok. Dik-dik is about half that size. Tiny little antelope. And they even look smaller when they're amongst the likes of a herd of guinea fowl. And the guinea fowl stand almost as tall as the dik-dik. But no, sadly none of the dik-dik here. And quite interestingly how the dik-dik of Namibia are related to the dik-dik in East Africa. And there's such a huge geographical area in between with many geographical features that kind of prevent a population from one place to the other. I remember reading a theory once. I don't know how true it is though, and I don't know what fossil records there are, and I need to look into this, because now that they've brought it up, it's just reminded me of it. That well, Tanganyika was German East Africa, and Namibia was German, and that's one of the reasons why the Caprivi Strip was formed. I'm just going to move forward a little bit so we can keep watching him. We don't often get a chance. Ow! Something's wrong with the radio, and it blasts in my ear every time I start. Gosh, my hearing's gone for a minute there. Especially since he's letting us watch him, I think we should stop and watch him for a bit. But the whole reason why this little strip of land called the Caprivi Strip was built was because, I think it was because the Brits were a little bit reluctant to let the Germans cross through the likes of a British protectorate like Botswana and Zambia. And for the Germans to get between the two colonies, between German Southwest Africa and German East Africa, the strip of land called the Caprivi Strip was built, and the theory was that it was actually the Germans that brought the dik-dik to Damaraland. But I really don't know how true that is. As I say, something I'm going to have to read up on. Something I could probably do while we're looking at our little steenbok. Just have a quick page through my book. Kirk's dik-dik. Gunther's dik-dik. Well, it's actually Kirk's dik-dik, which I suppose is the same thing. The Madoqua species, Madoqua genera. He's horning. A lot of the antelope, a lot of the male antelope get down and they horn the ground and they horn bushes. I have to say I've never seen it in a steenbok. Ooh, you just got the cold shivers. Ooh. According to my mammal book, well, it might be called the Damara dik-dik in Namibia, but it is actually the Kirk's dik-dik, Kirkii. Let's move on a little bit, watch him a little bit more. According to Jonathan Kingdon, there was a very arid corridor between East Africa and Namibia, which accounts for a possible reason why the single species is found in the two arid regions. Although their habitat preferences are slightly different, that in Namibia to that in East Africa. But I will read more on Smithers, and I'll read a bit more on my Smithers. Hopefully enlighten myself. I remember reading up a lot about them when I was living with them in East Africa. But I need to read up some more. What was that, a yawn? I'm going to try to move so we can get more full sun on him. We've had some lovely side light. If I just go around this way a little bit. While I'm doing so, just looking out for that female. She might be around here somewhere. Wind picking up a little bit now, making a lot of noise. Of course, with the leaves drying out, it's actually happening quite fast now, and we're going to notice the marula trees are going to be losing their leaves one day we're going to see leaves, and within a short period of time there are going to be no leaves on the marulas, and they don't turn yellow and brown. I mean, the marulas just tend to go pale green and then they fall. The combretums are starting to go yellow. There are some brown leaves already still hanging on the trees, but as these dry leaves fall and twigs break in the wind, makes a little antelope like this very nervous. And of course, with ears like that, like little radar dishes, he is picking up a lot more sound than we're capable of hearing. There, once again, marking that little grass stalk. I notice he's also sniffing the tips of some of these grass stalks, possibly sniffing for the intrusion of other males in his area. Clearly using his cheek glands, or rather chin glands, as well. Where are you off to, little boy? Now, those of you who are here now weren't watching us when we were watching that female a couple of weeks ago when I came back from leave and we were doing the Rangers race. They're unique amongst the antelope in that they toilet very much like a cat. They make a little scraping and they deposit their droppings in a little scraping in the ground, and then they cover it up. Very neat little children. Uh-oh, something spooked him. I'm waiting for him to paste something on a branch, or on a twig, for us to be able to see it better. At the moment, he's mostly just rubbing things with his chin. Further away. Now, one of the reasons why he's scenting like this, another reason other than territorial, is also because a pair will live in a very small territory, and obviously by scenting like that, the most recent scenting are the strongest. Let's move again, Herman. And it's a way for him to let her know what his movements are. The preorbital gland isn't as pronounced as it is in, say, the dick. I'm not too sure how much Steenbok actually used that little preorbital gland. Although he's been rubbing, I haven't really noticed. I was watching with my binoculars. I haven't really noticed him pasting very much. But if anything, he's sort of rubbing his chin on some of the. And once again, running and lying down. One of their defense mechanisms is to run and lie still and look like a stone, hence the name Steenbok. And then of course running away. When in doubt, run away. I think he's getting tired of our company. Okay, we'll leave him be. So we'll move on, we'll go past him and leave him be. Just to remind you all, you're watching Safari TV. We are live at Djuma Game Reserve. And he's run off and lay down again in the grass. And Herman is with me on camera. Kaz is in final control. I just want to get past him and then he'll relax. Heading off to where I last saw the female. Questions can be sent to final control at safari.tv. Bye boy. Take care of yourself and mind the leopards. And the other cats. And tawny eagles. And pythons. And there's been some zebra here. I wonder when they came back. This is after the rain the other day. Looks like there's been some zebra coming back. Although we haven't seen them. I haven't seen them. But there's some zebra tracks on the road heading back in the opposite direction. Lots of buffalo tracks too. This is where the big herd crossed. The big herd we had around yesterday. a picture. Let me try this one. On green background or blue background? We got green background. Time to watch a bird. For those of us birders, or those of you who are not birders, this is an introduction to the wonderful world of the feathered friends of the bushveld here in South Africa. And this is a bird that is quite common throughout southern and eastern Africa, or sub-Saharan as they call it. It's lilac-breasted roller. Somebody shouting up ahead. It's a drongo trying to mimic some other bird. Lilac-breasted roller is an insect eater. And the group of birds known as the rollers are so called because of their habit of the way that they do these wonderful aerobatics in the sky to declare their territory. Ah, here it comes. Watch. No, it's not coming this way. There's a white-crowned shrike that's been shouting. I thought it was a fork-tailed drongo that was mimicking the shrike. But it is one of the white-tailed shrikes. They live in White Crown, sorry. I thought it was going to come over and maybe have an argument with the lilac-breasted roller. They're both feeding on the same insects within each other's territories. Oh, he's nonplussed. Flying away. But the roller has exquisite turquoise wings, underwings. And it uses those wings when it's flying, it rolls. It does loops in the sky, and then it almost does a roll, flying back to a perch, displaying those iridescent blue, almost turquoise wings as a marker to other rollers that the territory is occupied. It's amazing what lengths some of the creatures go to not only declare but to maintain their territories. For us humans, we put up a wall, get a big guard dog, and forget about it. Animals constantly have to remark their territories, constantly have to declare their territories, maintain their territorial boundaries. And that in itself is really only for members of the same species. There are very few animals who establish a territory and defend it against something of another, or an animal of another species. Roller sitting on a perch waiting to catch something here in the grasses, and we're going to leave it be. Bye.
Hi everyone, this is Kaz in Final Control. Looks like the vehicle's going through a bad signal area, so for the moment we'll have a look at the guinea fowl and the impala that we have here at Gowrie Dam. I hope you enjoy this, and I'll speak to you just now.
Okay, copied. Maybe I'll do Central Road. Okay, copied. Thanks.
Guys, so much done. 2 jams through our jam now. I'm appreciating one road, otherwise, north, you know, cut down, jump, and north towards our jam area. So, copy. Yeah, now I'm not sure. We can, I'm not sure. Let's take it from the channel.
Caroline, come in. Yeah, I'm copying you now. Well, you're back with us, everyone. Sorry about that short delay, or that short Gowrie Dam. Back with us again. We're on Zoe's Road, and just hearing some news, some information about leopard tracks that were seen heading up towards Central Road, Nyala Road South, that direction. Probably one of the boys.
No one actually welcome. You can't get hold of anybody. Get me outside, hold your breath, and give me the call. Give breath. Okay? Go on board.
Yeah, you're coming through very, very faint, but I think I got it. I'm trying to think. This is to Zoe's Road. We'll try and get somewhere across Gowrie Dam. We'll do Central Road and have a see if we can follow up on those leopard tracks from this morning. I think it was Peggy was asking a question. Oh, snake track in the road. Peggy was asking, is it unusual to have a steenbok hanging around like that, because we're so used to them running away. It is rather unusual, Peggy. I mean, certainly had times where in other parts of sub-Saharan Africa where I've been able to watch steenbok, but yes, here certainly we've had a lot of times where steenbok are very shy and they tend to run away. Might have something to do with it being a little bit open. Might have something to do with the individual. He's possibly quite used to vehicles living up there. It might just be today. It might just be in the kind of mood today that allows us to watch him. Weather conditions, the scent or sounds or signs of predators are not prevalent, so he's feeling a bit more relaxed. Might have something to do with the fact that this particular Land Rover used to drive that road, Philemon's Cut Line, every single day. And the animals on that line, on that road, in that area, that live in that area, probably quite accustomed to it. That might be why he stuck around. He could recognize the sound. Just like the animals have the sounds of all the different vehicles. Slow. This is a light breeze, but the dust is actually overtaking us. The wind coming behind us. Just remember to try not to drive like that again. This road has just been dragged, scraped, smoothed, so the dust factor is multiplied. And when we drive slow like this through the bush, the wind, even though it's not much of a wind, is actually faster than the speed that we're moving. And we get this dust cloud enveloping us as we lift it. And that's only the beginning. We've still got dustier conditions to come as the dry season wears on. Whoa! Almost in the microdrone. I'm looking out across the eastern side of our traversing area, and this is one area where we can actually look across the bushveld. I'm just sort of drifting off the road there a little bit. This is where we had that big herd of buffalo, Patrick and I. Go through months and months not seeing anything on that little open area, and then in the space of a week we had 2 great sightings. Excuse me. Guess that's the dust.
Ja, wat ik heb de brothers and guns and voorbereid en de first done that. Yeah, just before we close the Donga, the convert went out towards the dam. Okay, copy.
I'm trying to decide now what to do. I'm hearing about some tracks at the other side of Gowrie Dam. Sounds like one of the boys made it to the other side of Gowrie Dam. I think we'll still keep going the way I was going to go. My name is Mark, Herman's on camera, and you are watching Safari TV live from the Djuma Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands here in South Africa. We're on our PM Safari and we're driving around this piece of bushveld looking for anything of interest. Of course, there's lots of interesting things, and anything that I see that I can talk to you about, I'll stop and explain it. Also encourage questions and comments that you can send in to Final Control at safari.tv, and we will be able to answer those questions. Leopard dung. Interesting. It's a little bit old, but there was some leopard dung in the road. Now entering the western edge of a big open area we call Quarantine, or we don't call it Quarantine. It is called Quarantine, and it is called Quarantine because a long time ago, when animals were imported into the area, they were kept in quarantine pens before they were released into the wild, in an effort to restock the area with animals that had maybe disappeared from the area. And that name has stuck over the years. I'm sure it was a long time ago, long before the fences all came down between the Sabi Sand and Kruger, or even between the Sabi Sand and Djuma. I think there was a time when Djuma wasn't part of the Sabi Sand. It was more of a self-contained game reserve, and that was a time when they were trying to restock it with certain species. Oh, I just saw something I'm interested in. I'm going to see more of it. No, there was one particular track further back that looked good. Might have been hyena, but I drove over it. Nothing here. Data dropping. Buffalo tracks. 2 doves in the road. That little dove, gonna stay there for the camera. No. Cape turtle doves. Can you see them? Lovey-dovey. Pair of doves. Now, Rex always believed that was good luck. I do too, because Rex did. And while they might be the most common doves that we have in, gosh, probably Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, we certainly don't give them enough time on camera. The doves? Yeah. I'm sure he'll hear you now. Okay. Wind is picking up. Cloud is building up in the south. Some weather moving in. Not sensing too much of a change in atmospheric pressure. I don't like the starter. Oh. So having mentioned quarantine, normally a rather busy open area, somewhat void of animals this afternoon. Void, absent. Maybe some of them are down at the dam. We'll go past Gari Dam, across the wall. Aha. Hey, Bo. How schön. Oh, here we go. Cool. Hi, everybody. How you doing? You have? Yes, we have indeed. Are you enjoying yourself?
Yeah.
Good.
Check out them, set up them, but
No, I did Zoe's.
no mango, nothing.
No, there's mango and ponzo coming up on Philemon's Patland.
Okay.
But it's from just after the rain. The ground was wet.
Okay.
There's also old and ponzo for my father English. Yeah. Okay. There's some ponzo for my father English. Philemon's Patland Zoe.
Yeah.
But it was a little bit Madala also.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going across the dam. Bye. Sorry about that. We often stop and chat to the other guides when we pass them in driving, just to catch up on where they've been and what they're looking for. Where we've been and what we're looking for. Now this is a very rich game area, and one wouldn't really believe that if you've only watched 1 or 2 drives, because there are times we can go for relatively long periods without seeing anything. We just have so much. But days like today, a little bit windy, a little bit cold, we've got to work hard for our animals. I hope you're going to stay with us. Enjoy the drive this afternoon, live on Safari TV. Very important aspect to what we do, and in terms of finding animals, is keeping an eye on the road and all the animal tracks that we find on the road. For example, I'm looking at hippo tracks now. Oh, that's interesting. That's very interesting. Franklin just making a big noise. Now, I don't know if you can see it, but tracks of a baby hippo. Yes, that one's a nice one. Something spooked a francolin, which spooked another francolin. Which one you want? That one. The one in the sand. Okay. That's a baby hippo. Possibly our little Bob. Bob the baby. On its way back to Gari Dam. Interesting birds up ahead. Helmeted guinea fowl. All running up towards the dam. They roost in trees around the dam at night. Almost prehistoric the way they run. Perhaps we'll get to see them now if they've moved off the road. No, they're coming back on the road. Like something out of Jurassic Park. There's some next to us. See if we can maybe get to see there.
Looking at the running birds first.
You're looking at the running birds. Well, these ones are disappearing. Bunch of youngsters with them that don't have the red and blue heads yet. Oh, they've gone into the shade. Okay. We'll have to catch up with the other ones.
Cool.
Yeah, but I need to go outside of this buffalo thorn. Okay? Other side of this buffalo thorn. They are getting quite shy of this lot. Back to our hippopotami. Where shall we just pop in with? We often see them from the camera at the dam, but this is a high definition camera. Let's get some clear shots of our local pod of hippos with a buffalo in the background. Give me a chance to listen. If there are any of the boys around, you might hear some alarm calls. And for those of you who haven't been with us for too long, when we refer to the boys, we're talking about the two sons of a very, very famous leopard called Karula, and their names are Mishu and Induna. All three of them have their own fan pages or own pages on Facebook, and we've been watching Mishu and Induna grow up for the last 18 months. There's a young hippo here. I wonder if it was little Bob. I saw a young hippo at Buffelshoek Dam last night. Maybe they're two very small ones. We know there's Bob and one they call Pinky because it's a little bit pinker in the face and a little bit older. But that little one looks like it could be. Not sure. Hard to tell. Maybe that's Pinky. Ephraim. Say. Oh, Fambakwe. Okay, I'll go around central and see, come around the other way. It is quite a small hippo, that. Yeah. Looks like it's standing on its mother's back now, with its front legs, watching the vehicle go over the damn wall. Okie yeah, we haven't got much left of daylight. I think we'll move on and see if we can find something else for you. Oh, look at little one. Threat display by a hippo. I'm so scared.
First time I've seen such a
little hippo doing it.
Yeah.
We used to have a commercial in this country. That's quite a young buffalo bull, that actually. I wonder if he's got left behind by the herd the other day. Oh, Cadbury's. We have a Cadbury's chocolate here. Okay. Shh. this vehicle wants to go driving, so I'll just have to. It sits for too long, starts beeping. Where was I? Yes. I suppose we still have them. They're called chumps. Little candy bars, chocolate bars that have wafer and caramel. Caramel that is called caramel in the States. We call it caramel. There's an extra A in there, everybody, by the way. It's like aluminum and aluminium. There's an I there. And it doesn't say uranium. It's uranium. Titanium. So it's aluminium. You don't talk about titanium or uranium or other ums. So it's IUM. Evidently that's why the scientists actually called it aluminium. It was first called aluminum. But then to make it fit in with the IUM of all the other elements, they called it aluminium. It's just that some countries decided not to follow that rule. Anyways, I digress, as I often do. We had a chocolate bar, well, still got it, but there was an advert, a commercial for this chocolate bar with a mama hippo and a baby hippo. And it was supposed to make one think that this was a really giant-sized chocolate bar. Meanwhile, it's like one of the smallest you can buy. It's called a chomp. And Mama was saying, wider, wider. Did you ever see that as a kid?
I remember something.
It was before your time. It was when I was...
recall a memory of it, but I can't.
It was when I was your age. I had this little baby hippo going, opening his mouth, trying to get it wider and wider, and then Mom says, no, it's not wide enough, and then she had chomped the chomp. And for years and years and years, the logo, or the mascot for this chocolate bar was a hippo, a baby hippo. We should call him Chomp, not Bob. No, maybe not. Can't call it after a Cadbury's bar. Sorry, Kaz, what was that? Okay. Chris, hello. Hijacking Jodie's email address. Chris is asking if we have any crocodiles in Gowrie. Well, we had a crocodile recently at Buffelshoek Dam, and we're not too sure if it's still there or not. It arrived a couple of months ago. Kath was the first one to find it, to spot it. And she was on camera with Jared. And we've been looking for it recently, but with these cold temperatures it's maybe not that easy. We need to go out there midday. Midday croc will be out sunning itself, so we must check on that. There used to be, many years ago, there used to be a crocodile at Gowrie Dam, but Gowrie Dam dried up in a bit of a drought period a couple of years ago. It was still dry towards the end of 2008, and it was only towards the midsummer of 2008, January of 2008, that the rains fell and filled up Gowrie Dam for the first time in a couple of years. And while there's every possibility of a crocodile coming back there, there isn't one there at the moment. Certainly not now during the winter months. There's no chance of crocodiles moving around this time of the year. Not very. Faint tracks here, I must keep my eye out on the road because there are some faint tracks here that I'm not too sure what they are yet.
Driving over the congestion more knob covered in Bubu. Yeah, from along Bubu, but just below some further before taking to Kasta. Tapi Jamapal dia mana ada? Jamapal.
Peggy just mentioning that she has turtle doves in her backyard. Be interesting to see what species of turtle dove. I don't think it's the same as our Cape turtle dove. Probably the same genus, different species. Ringnecks probably. But Peggy is saying that every time she sees them in her backyard, she's reminded of Rex's good luck charm of having 2 turtle doves on the road. Okay, well then look out over the bush though. Herman is Land Rover surfing. See if we can see if this will work. I haven't set the date though. He is not working. Excuse me, Franklin. Oh, because the date and time is not set. I'll do that another time. It's dark, we need sunshine. Try this way, get more of the camera in the shot.
Close it up a bit.
Okay.